Hello, everyone. I'm Oriana, the Journalism Outreach Lead here at Kickstarter, and we are beyond thrilled for you to be joining us for The Next Page, Kickstarter's first ever digital publishing conference. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to talk about Kickstarter, a company that I am almost unreasonably pleased to work for. As you likely know, Kickstarter is the only crowdfunding platform that's exclusively focused on nurturing creativity. Our entire mission is to bring creative projects to life. Kickstarter is also a public benefit corporation, which means we're a mission-driven, for-profit company that is pledged to consider the impact of all of our decisions on society, not just on our shareholders. Having a positive impact on the world is written into a public benefit corporation's charter as part of its legally defined goals. At Kickstarter, that means that everything we do comes back to supporting, serving, and championing artists and creators. We do, of course, try to make money, but unlike a regular corporation, maximizing profits is not our main goal. We won't ever seek to make more money if it comes at the expense of our creative mission. This may sound kind of idealistic, but it's been working pretty well. Kickstarter was founded in 2009, and 2 weeks ago, we celebrated our 10th birthday. Over the last decade, more than $4 billion have been pledged to campaigns on this site, and more than 160,000 projects have been brought to life. In publishing, comics, and journalism, more than 24,000 projects have brought in nearly $250 million from 2.5 million backers. As a longtime journalist and just a person paying attention to the media right now, it would be tough to overstate how rewarding it is to be here, working to put a little bit of money back into this industry. But enough about me. Let's talk about what we're all doing here. One of the most frustrating things about working in the media is that it still seems like all of the most important conversations and decisions happen behind closed doors, in rooms full of people who look remarkably similar, who come from remarkably similar backgrounds, and who all think remarkably similarly. Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to run for president in this country, said, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." Well, our goal for this conference is not to dream up sly ways to pry open the doors and force ourselves into those rooms, but to make a whole new room, one that's filled with all the people who are the most invested in driving this industry forward, creating new methods and tactics for success, and lifting up and centering all the voices that have so long been missing from the discourse. This new room is extremely online and has an extremely low barrier to entry. We are so grateful to the hundreds of you joining us from all over the world. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We can't wait to talk to you and to hear what you have to say in response, putting all of our voices and minds together to figure out how to make the future of reading and writing better for everyone. This event is the result of a tremendous amount of planning and logistics, but more importantly, it's the triumphant outcome of my incredible boss, Margot Atwell, having spent her entire career working and fighting for a more diverse, fair, equitable, sustainable, and inclusive publishing industry and media landscape. You'll get to hear from her in a minute, but first I'd like to introduce our collaborator in this endeavor, Pablo Defendini, who has also spent his career working to foster diversity, community, sustainability, and technological innovation in publishing. Pablo is the publisher and art director of Fireside, one of the highest paying short fiction markets in the science fiction and fantasy genre field. Born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Pablo helped launch Tour.com, has worked for Open Road Media and O'Reilly, and in 2015 started the Black Speculative Fiction Report, an annual survey of how many Black people are being published in the science fiction and fantasy field. Hint, it's an appallingly low number. Here's Pablo.
Thanks, Oriana. So one of Fireside's core values is fair pay for great stories, and an extension of that is engaging with the publishing industry in order to foster a more sustainable and inclusive environment. That's what we're doing here. Almost exactly a year ago, Margot and I met up at the Starbucks at the hotel at the Nebula conference in Pittsburgh and talked about how we thought the publishing industry really needed to have some crucial conversations that it wasn't having, and about how we needed to compare notes and foster ties with other industries in order to make sure that we're not, reinventing the wheel, in order to get out of our comfort zones and in order to break with some of the more problematic patterns in the industry. Fast forward to today, and here we are after a ton of hard work from all of us, and that's what the next page is all about, facilitating those conversations and building that community. what you'll see here today are conversations with people from within and from without publishing who are walking the walk. They're here to tell you that it doesn't have to be business as usual, and that there are better ways of doing things and better versions of the publishing ecosystem that we know. And it's all there for the taking if we just join them on that walk. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all out there for tuning in. Thank you to Oriana and to Margot and to Kickstarter for running this thing like whoa and bringing to bear the amazing resources that they have. And thank you to Meg Frank, who did some of the early work helping us organize this event and helped us with some of the heavy lifting. Finally, I'll leave you with Margot Atwell, who is the Senior Director of Publishing at Kickstarter, where she has been helping authors and publishers build community and find support for their creative projects for more than 5 years. Previously, Margot was publisher at Beaufort Books, an independent publisher of fiction and nonfiction. She is the co-author of The Insider's Guide to Book Publishing Success. In 2014, she raised almost $10,000 on Kickstarter to launch Gut Punch Press, and fund her second book, Derby Life, a crash course in the incredible sport of roller derby. She currently writes a Substack newsletter about money and publishing called On the Books, which I highly recommend. Go sign up right now. It's really, really good. She is also writing Don't Steal This Book, Why Paying for Words is Radical and Necessary. So, Margot.
Got locked out of my own laptop. Hi, everyone. I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to be here with all of you today, whether you're joining us online or here at Kickstarter HQ in Brooklyn, New York. My work here at Kickstarter over the last 5 years has introduced me to people from all different aspects of the writing and publishing landscape, from booksellers to editors, nonprofit directors to comics artists, librarians to literary magazine publishers, and many more. So many people have shared the challenges they and their fields are facing. The businesses of comics, journalism, book publishing, and media are pretty siloed, and people working within one industry rarely have an opportunity to talk to those working in others. Often, people believe that things are better elsewhere in the literary landscape, but I've come to see that everyone is doing a lot with a little, innovating to the best of their ability, and putting on a brave face. The past 10 years have brought incredible changes to the publishing landscape, some good, some bad, and some where it still remains to be seen. Technological changes and the rise of smartphones, e-readers, social media, and more have altered the ways we interact with each other and with our favorite writers. Print-on-demand technology and digital book sales have made it possible for individual authors and tiny startup publishers to gain access to the market in ways that were unthinkable a decade ago. Organizations such as We Need Diverse Books and many others have highlighted the ways in which media and publishing have been failing so many readers who so badly want to see themselves represented in stories, and writers who are striving to tell their own stories but running up against business as usual in the publishing establishment. Consolidation and the increasing power of big business are majorly impacting the way that the world of words is developing. Today, we'll discuss how technology can propel publishing forward, ways to design a radically inclusive media landscape, how to make a publishing future that's financially sustainable, and methods for building, nurturing, and cultivating community across publishing and the media. Each panel will run about an hour, with 15 minutes afterwards for audience Q&A. To join the conversation, submit your questions in the streaming chat on kickstarter.com/conferences, or email them to thenextpageconference@gmail.com. Once more, that email address is thenextpageconference@gmail.com. Our digital moderator, Desiree Wilson, will collect them and share them with us. Pablo and Oriana, who you just met, will read them to our panelists so that everyone is able to hear them. In my view, the 4 topics we are focusing on with the next page are the most pressing issues in publishing today. The panelists you'll hear from are some of the most hardworking, passionate, visionary people I've encountered in the industry to date, whose work touches on the issues they will be discussing. And I know that so many of you who are watching these conversations fit that description as well. Our aim with the next page is to bring together smart, passionate people from across the publishing, media, comics, reading and writing landscape and beyond to talk about the challenges our fields are facing, share new ideas, and work together to invent a future for publishing that is inclusive, vibrant, innovative, and financially sustainable. These fields have so much in common, and we have so much to teach and learn from each other. None of us are alone in this. There are so many people doing incredible work, and we need to create spaces, in person and online, to talk to each other, learn from each other, and build things together. I'd like to open this day of conversations by asking us to be both realistic and hopeful. We must lay out all the challenges and problems we face in all their big, hairy complexity. If we don't talk realistically about what the problems are, we can't make progress towards improving them. I ask us to be hopeful because all of the incredibly smart people in this room and out there watching us online care about making this field better. And that's so exciting to me. With everyone's talents combined and carried forward, that gives me real cause to hope. We'll be kicking off today's talk with Connecting the Future, Publishing and Technology, led by Fran Wilde. A 2018 creator in residence at Kickstarter, Nebula Award winner, Hugo and World Fantasy Award finalist, Fran Wilde writes poetry, short stories, essays, and novels for children and adults. Her award-winning work includes Updraft, the middle grade novel Riverland, and The Jewel and Her Lapidary. She is the director of the Genre MFA program at Western Colorado University's Low Residency MFA in Creative Writing. Before her current iteration, Fran was a web developer, game designer, and usability maven. She holds a master's in information architecture and an MFA in poetry, making her a certified code poet. Who better to guide our conversation about publishing and technology? I'm thrilled to hand over the stage to Fran Wilde and the other panelists.